Okay. Yeah, you got some locomotives here. They they'll try to repair them here in the rail, or they'll be moved over to the shop for more intensive repairs. Now, does this involve Area 51 by chance? What you got, bud?
They don't have a building.
They don't have a what? Building? Yeah, that great big diesel shop we saw over there. No, not over here. We don't. So they'll have to go over the hill like we came over that bridge. Those tracks that were right next to you, they go right over there. Now I'm sure everybody's kind of noticed our sign up there. We try to keep this low key. Our Area 51.
Area 51.
Well, there's two versions of this Area 51. You got the official UP version, and then you got the one that the trainmen believe, or the trained persons believe. I'm required to tell you the official version, and that back in, I think it was 2006, 2005, somewhere there about, we were running about 51 trains a day through this facility. Which is possible, and it probably did. I mean, we were running a lot of trains through here. But the more believable version is first off, you got to understand what's in this building. You have the yard master in there, who's in charge of this whole, everything that happens in this yard. You have all kinds of managers in there. You have the mechanical manager, the car manager. You have the operating managers. So you got all this brain power in there. And oftentimes when they get together and they make decisions and stuff, it makes strange things happen out here in the yard. So that's the way that works. So that's where some of us call it Area 51, and it pretty befits the title. Yes, sir. Okay, the caboose. Probably one of, if not the last, fully functional caboose on UP property in the system. And we don't use that to put it on the end of trains like we used to and everything, but it does serve a very important purpose for our operations. In the winter. So what we do is in the winter time, if we get extremely bad weather, where our four-wheel drive vehicles can't go out and take crews out to relieve our crews out there, what we'll do is we'll put probably a couple cars on each side of that and a locomotive, one facing east, one facing west, and we'll put our relief crews in that, and we'll take them out on the main line and we'll relieve crews with that.
Oh, that's
so that way we don't have one crew sitting on a train for possibly 24 hours plus. Yes, ma'am.
Why did you get rid of the caboose?
We got rid of the caboose because if you look at the end of a train, you see that box with the red light blinking? That got rid of the caboose. Because with that device, you can tell whether you have air pressure all the way through your train. It can tell you whether the rear of your train is actually moving. Because I mean, when you're on the head end of a train, your train's 2 miles long. Unless you're on the right kind of curve, you may be moving, and somebody might have been screwing with your train, and they, mess with it, and you take off, and you might have half your train back there. I mean, I'm sure you see movies like that before, where that happens. Well, and that's a reality. That can happen. So it's important when you take off, after you've moved a couple hundred feet, there's a counter on there they'll tell you whether it says your end of train telemetry device is moving. So if it's moving, you're in good shape.
You need to put a guy back there though, so we can all wave at him together.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of people that would agree that yes, you should have somebody back there. I'm one of them.
That's why they got moved to get rid of the guy back.
Well, actually, there was a bunch of guys back there. There was a conductor back there, and I think there was 2 brakemen back there.
They'd always wait.
Yeah. My great grandfather was when he retired from Burlington Northern. As a gift from Burlington Northern, they gave him a caboose, and they put it in his backyard. He used to sit up there in the gondola up there. He had old black and white TV. He used to watch the Packers games on television all the time.
Wow.
That was just he'd be out there and he'd yell out the window, "Get up here!"
His man cave.
That was a man cave before they had man caves. So. Now this, if you we'll come up to it, get a little closer to it. This building right up to the front, this Big Ten building up front, that's actually not a Union Pacific building. Several years ago, back in the early 2000s, when we were running lots and lots of coal trains, we were buying a lot of brand new locomotives. And at $2 million a pop, you kind of wanted your locomotives to be in service and running your trains. Well, unfortunately, locomotives are just like when you buy a new car. If you notice when you buy a new car, there's a lot of things that only the dealer can do.
Right.
And so so we were constantly having to ship our locomotives down to, I think it was North Little Rock, Arkansas, to get a bolt changed, or whatever the case was. Well, that would take our locomotive out of service for the turnaround time was 30 days plus.
Right.
So you got this brand new locomotive that you desperately need because you wouldn't have spent $2 million for a locomotive if you didn't need it, out of service for 30 days. So the people in Omaha had some heartburn over that. And so to appease us, they built this building where they could do warranty work and anything that a dealer would have to do, and everything else right up here on property. So it took our turnaround time of these locomotives to sometimes up as long as 90 days to as short as just a couple hours. So that's what this building is. Used to be owned by General Electric. Now I think it's owned by a company called Wabtec or something like that. So I don't know who owns what anymore. I mean, they change hands everywhere. Yes, ma'am.
Is everything in the yard 24/7?
Yes, this entire yard is 24/7, 365. We don't stop working for anything. Holidays, doesn't matter. Got any former postal workers in here by chance? Because I always get in trouble when I say this. But yeah, I know the post office like to brag that they're going to deliver your mail in rain, sleet, and snow. Well, Union Pacific train persons will build your trains in rain, sleet, and snow, and volcanoes, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, asteroid storms, alien invasions, irritated ex-spouses, you name it. No matter what it's doing out there, we're going to build trains.
Do you guys get a lot of snow in the wintertime?
We have it in the past, but it's kind of getting to that cycle where we're getting more.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, when I was a kid and growing up here in Nebraska, it wasn't uncommon to see 3 to 5 feet of snow on the ground any time after Thanksgiving,
right,
all the way up to April. But we went through this period of time where we had winters where we barely got an inch of snow on the ground the whole winter.
Oh, wow.
And now it seems like it's coming back around to where we're getting more and more snow every year.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have to clear the tracks?
Oh yeah. Yeah, snow and ice really slow down railroad operations everywhere. So we get out there, we have devices to help clear up the switches. The switches are a big problem. They start, the snow and ice gets backed up in them, the switches won't throw properly, and next thing you know, they're not throwing at all, and then we have problems. So most all of our power switches have propane or natural gas heaters hooked up to them, so they can be remotely controlled to keep them operated. And we also have a device out here, we call it Air Force One, where it's literally a jet engine on a trailer. They just push it down the rail and it blows the snow and ice with heat and pressure, blows it out of the way. Does a great job until the snow and ice melts and comes back in as water. And, so it's a double-edged sword using that thing. There's another one of our heritage locomotives. If you look at the rear end of this train, which one is that? Yeah, that's Kansas City. Yep, that is the Katy. Yep, that's when I see that one come through all the time. Now, that locomotive is on the rear end of the train here. I'm sure you all have seen trains where they have maybe one, 2, 3 locomotives up front, 1 or 2 in the middle, maybe 1 or 2 in the rear end. Well, those ones that are not on the head end, those are called distributed power units. And the engineer up front can control all those units independently of the head end. Now he or she can do one of 2 things. He can either fence them off, which means they're going to mirror image everything the front end does. So if the engineer speeds up, they all speed up. He slows down, they slow down. Or the engineer can run each set as an independent locomotive. you may have the middle putting more pressure on the train and the rear end slowing down. And it depends on the needs of the train. Because what those locomotives help us do is control what we call in-train forces. So our in-train forces are called buff and draft. Buff forces are when the train's compressed together. Draft is when it's pulling apart. So we're running trains long enough now where you might have the head end going down a hill, the middle one going up another one, and the rear end going down another hill. So you have to have the ability to train, because you've got several different forces acting on your train at that point. So that's what that engineer has to do. So our engineers, they don't just sit up there and blow the whistle and wave to people. I mean, they're very highly trained individuals. Here we got a coal train coming in our east run through, or maybe it's departing. I don't know, one of the two.
I was just amazed about how long it
Yes,
is
sir.
there, and it's just long over there.
Where does our coal come from? Pretty much all our coal comes from the Wyoming and the up there in the Powder River Basin is what they call it. They got several mines up there, and that's where our coal comes from. And we share a joint line up there with Burlington Northern.
And it goes all over.
Yeah, from there after it gets loaded, it goes all over the country.
Wow.
So you see all these cars are different cars, and they're all private cars. So they all go to a different, specific location. That's why they're unit trains. They stay together because one company owns them, and they just make a circle. That's all they do. Are you gonna let people by?